Hi, I'm Katie Stamps, Preservation Planner for the City of Huntsville, and we are here in downtown Huntsville during Preservation Month, which has been going on throughout the month of May. We've been celebrating our People Saving Places HSV campaign, and one of the things we've been doing is talking to local preservation advocates to learn more about what they do for our city, how they got involved in history, and why it's important to have folks that do that in our community, and why Preservation Month is important. So with me today, I have Heather Adkins, who is the manager of special collections at the downtown Huntsville Public Library. So we're so excited to have you here, and here we are on the Courthouse Square, and nearby where the downtown library is, where you work. So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, how you got into the world of preservation and history, and what interested you in that field?
Yeah, absolutely. I've always loved history, but I always knew that I was not built for teaching. So I did a lot of research. I decided that I loved active history. I like participatory history, which is why I came into historic preservation. I manage archives. I've been in archives for, gosh, 10 or more years now. And I've been able to bring that love of history into a field where I can actively get my hands dirty and show people what the community is all about.
Absolutely, and I love that a place like an archive is something that's open to the public. So, I mean, I know y'all have stuff, people can't take it with them, but it is a place where people can come if they want to learn about Huntsville history. Special Collections has a lot of artifacts and documents and things that they're looking for. So is that something for folks, if they wanted to learn more about a particular topic, they could come to the Special Collections and research?
Yes, absolutely. So we do pride ourselves on being a research library in addition to the public library. So between the book collection and all the original documentation, photographs, maps that we have, it's a great way to actually be tangible with history. You know, sometimes when we just talk about it, we hear the stories, oral histories, things our grandparents said. It's so far removed from what we think of everyday life. But when you get to see these documents, these photographs, talk to people and say, oh, that's me, it brings history alive in a way that just being in a classroom doesn't.
And I think too, you know, you mentioned photographs and documents and maps, things like that, that are pieces of paper that need to go somewhere. In a place like Special Collections, y'all are trained, have the facilities that are a safe place, because a lot of times, you know, we'll find stuff in your parents' closet or attic, and it's not in a climate-controlled situation. So I feel like having, you know, an archive, that's a place for those important things that are to our community, a safe place for them to be, so that we can continue to learn from them into the future.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, it's kind of a two-way street. We love making relationships here in the community, and we understand that maybe you're not ready to part with your family, you know, scrapbook or your album, which is why we also offer like a scanning service, so that a digital copy can be at the library for everyone to enjoy, but you get to hold on to your family memories. But beyond that, we do end up having these situations where we actually end up coaching people. Hey, I know you're not a professional archivist. Your home is not an archive. Here's what you can do at home. So it's not just the professional aspect of it where people can come to us. We love to go to other people and say, hey, this is what you can do at home to maintain your family records.
Now that's really interesting that someone can come and learn about how to do that, because we're going through that in my family right now, trying to, you know, take things that are photographs and things that are important, but we're not quite sure what's worth saving, and how do you know, digitizing things is an important aspect of it as well. So I love that y'all provide that at the Special Collections. And again, you know, opening the new City Hall, you helped us. I knew who to call when we needed photographs of old previous City Halls, and so you were able to provide that because you know what's in your collections there. So I love that that's a resource here in Huntsville, because not all communities have such a rich archive with that kind of documentation that people can go learn about. And I know y'all don't people do genealogy research as well?
A lot of local history, a lot of genealogy. We are not the only archive in town. There are so many archives and museums in town that do the same, you know, professional services we do. But we do have that one little niche of being a genealogy collection in addition to just wider Madison County history. And
talk about falling down the rabbit hole. That's such a fun thing to do, to research your own family. Yes. So I love that we have that here. So for Preservation Month, what are your thoughts on why it's important for Huntsville as a community to celebrate something like Preservation Month? And I know you've been participating in a lot of things throughout the month, and y'all have programs and things at the library as well. So you talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Preservation Month and any kind of National Heritage Month really is a chance for everyone as a community to get together and recognize that there is a central culture to where you live. There is a central way of life here, whether you're from different backgrounds, whatever that means. You are still together in this community, and preservation is just simply one way to celebrate that.
And being able to do that with each other as a community is really special. Just to have a specific time to celebrate.
Yes.
So, and I'm sure, like in your job at the library, you come in contact with a lot of maybe stories and information that the rest of us aren't as familiar with. So, do you have any places or stories that you think like, wow, that was really interesting to learn about? People should know about this.
Way too many. I'll narrow it down though. I love talking about the Green Bottom Inn and Racetrack, which the building is no longer standing. It burnt down in the 30s. I love researching that one. It's where A&M now is. They have a great history tied to that, not only because the property is in the same place, but their founder, William Hooper Council, was actually sold as an enslaved person on the auction block at the Green Bottom Inn. So his story just comes completely full circle with where he started here in Huntsville to where he ended up here in Huntsville. Beyond that, another thing I really love talking about is land development surrounding the arsenal. I think with how quickly this town has grown, it's very easy to forget that we had a history before NASA, before space, before defense. And part of that history is how the arsenal took over farmland in that area. So I love talking about that.
And again, you're right. And I think a lot of people that maybe move here from other places aren't as locked in. They know they maybe if they came here for a job at NASA or a job on the arsenal, they're going to be familiar with like that's always been here, but that's not true.
It's not true.
There's so much history that happened before that. So I love that.
Yeah. 144 years of history, if I did my math correctly.
That's wild. That's wild. Well, thank you so much. So I wanted to ask you as our closing question, for folks who are interested in getting involved in the world of history, the world of preservation, what would be your recommendations or advice for people that want to pursue something, not even necessarily professionally, but just get into that world?
Don't be afraid to step in and ask questions. If you want to get some experience, if you're wanting to go the professional route and get experience, yeah, go talk to someone in a field you're interested in. If you just want to volunteer with the community, find what subject you're interested in and what institution fits that subject.
So and that ties into, so you are the current president of the Huntsville-Madison County Historical Society.
Yes.
So that is a volunteer organization, a nonprofit that would be a group that folks could participate and volunteer. I'm sure y'all are always looking for history-minded people that are just passionate about the subject, and that would be a good way to get your foot in the door to learn from other people that are also passionate about history.
Yeah, and I think really the thing about this too is it is definitely not just professionalism, it is enthusiasm. So if you want to be involved in the history community or just to learn something new, the Historical Society is a great place to do that because most of the people in it are engineers or work at NASA.
I feel like you and I are a little rare in that we are history professionals, but we do the volunteering thing as well. Like that never stops, and I think that's important. Like you said, really no matter, even if you're not into history, I'm guessing if they're watching, they are into history.
Probably.
But if you're, no matter what field you're in, it's important to find that space of whatever you're interested in, just getting involved in the community. I think that makes our community better. For just for everybody,
and it'll bolster any effort towards historic preservation that you're trying to do. It takes so much community effort to do anything history related, especially in a community that is devoted to STEM, STEM and defense and everything that goes with it. But there is such a substantial community here that worries about the state of the historic districts, worries about historical markers being put up, which is something the Historical Society does along with the foundation, I believe. Yeah, there's no shortage of ways to get involved, even if this is not your career field.
Sure. I think that's such a great idea to end on, is just the volunteerism and how important that is to get involved in your community. And it's you'll learn more things, you'll make friends hopefully, and just get plugged into that community. So I appreciate the work that you do professionally and volunteering in our community. That's a great model for folks to see what's possible when you want to get involved in history and preservation.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us today. And again, we are here with Heather Adkins, and we're so thankful to be able to talk to a preservation professional, learn more about our history. Definitely welcome y'all to check out the special collections online and go visit Heather. I'm sure she would be love to hear from you if you've got questions about things and want to learn. And we have just been so thrilled to celebrate Preservation Month in May, and we look forward to celebrating with you more in the future. Please follow along with us on Facebook as well as Instagram at Huntsville Preservation. You can stay up to date on all of our latest things that are going on in the world of preservation in Huntsville.